Good morning, y'all. All right, so what we're going to do here today is I'm working on my CF Moto UFORCE 1000. That is a 2024. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1.5-inch wheel spacers on the rear, move them to the front, and then I have 2-inch wheel spacers I'm going to put on the rear. So I got to take off the rear tires first, take off the 1.5 inch, install the tubes, tire backs on, both tires back on, and then I'll work on the front. I've already broke all the lug nuts loose. I kind of wanted to give you all a little heads up on what it kind of looks like here. So from the front, this is stock tires, stock wheels, and they stick in probably about 1 inch-ish, which is great for mud coverage and whatnot. The rear is going to be a little harder, but with that 1.5 inch wheel spacer looking right down the door, you can't really see them, which is fine too. You know, it's just all personal preference. I took this thing out the other day, and I've had these 2-inch wheel spacers in my garage for a while, and I'm like, all right, it's time to put those on and see what happens and kind of go from there. Yes, this contraption is going to work. It's not that tight right now, so long story short, the wheels aren't lifted up or anything right now. But we're gonna take those off and go from there. Some people have asked, and I know I've been kind of curious about it too at points, and so I'm gonna try one hand and get you a little tape measure here and slightly try and eyeball this, where I'm going to call that approximately 60 inches. And that's the rear with 1.5 inch wheel spacers on both sides. Let's go hit the front. Again, eyeballing. Let's see here. That's 59-ish inches. So we'll try and do something similar to that, and maybe I'll get a kiddo out here and give me a hand, but we'll see how much this actually winds us up and go from there. I already know from experience I cannot hit the under 60-inch trails here in Idaho, so well, can and shouldn't are two different things, but we'll kind of go from there. But anyways, hold up and we'll start doing some work here. And just so y'all know, and I'll probably repeat it a few times for those who don't, the wheel spacer torque pounds when you put the nut in there is 81 foot-pounds front and rear. So that's what I'll be torquing those to. I'm going to put some blue Loctite on there and go from there. Just so y'all know, this is kind of how the 2-inch wheel spacers came from R&G. Let's see if we can get that to focus here. That's a 4x110 or a M12 by 1.25. So that's what we're working with here today, and go from there. If you can see in there, right here where my finger's kind of poking through, those are beveled, and so are these nuts. Make sure that bevel gets down into that groove there, because if you don't, you are going to hate life. But yeah, give that a try. All right, we're going to start up the old TYM T574 here. I'll let it run through its stuff. I haven't started this much today. That's a Kook J engine right there for you. All right, gonna boom up just a little bit. He's strong little knot. All right, so we got enough ground clearance right here. Might be a little tippy. I don't care. I'm going to start working right here first and go from there. Oh yeah, that should hold. That rope's kind of rated. All right, so this is what we're dealing with here. I had the e-brake on, and my Ugga gun, it's just a little guy, wasn't breaking these loose. Now these have blue Loctite on the inside here, but what was happening was when I got my, I don't know what that is, probably a 16-inch Carlisle half-inch drive on there, the whole thing was spinning. So I just went over to my e-brake, gave it the hugga down, and that seems to be holding, so that when, I don't think I've hit this one yet. Yeah, you're gonna have to be your own Home Depot help impact gun here. There you go. A little short and quick thing. All right, now I'm gonna put my Ugga gun on there and go a little quicker. All right, to be continued. All right, we got those off now. Slides off. You can see the slight residue of where the blue Loctite was, so I'm gonna have to definitely re-Loctite that. That doesn't look too bad as far as I can tell. That rust is obviously, these are aluminum, so they're not gonna rust. It's obviously from this right here. And just so y'all know, I found a new Zerk, because I just got done Zerking this whole thing. Right here, that little guy. So I'll be hitting him before here too long. Don't let me forget. I'm also gonna do another video, maybe, on those Zerks right down there on the lower A-arm in the rear. They are vertical, and I have a lock and lube auto grease gun, and it is an absolute nightmare trying to hit that one and that one. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those Zerks out, and I'm gonna change them out for at least 45s. I think that'd be a lot wider. So anyways, back to wheel spacers. All right, everybody, as I'm doing this, I'm like, oh yeah, should probably mention that. So these are the, let's see, focus, the Prefix 2-inch wheel spacers. So yeah, what I like to do is, what I'm gonna do is slide them on there, obviously make sure they fit first, right? Once that's on there, kind of eyeball everything, I'm gonna come back and let's do that right now. My workbench. Sorry, holding an iPhone, doing this one-handed, so bear with me. All right, so I'm gonna put this blue Loctite right here, kind of let it run down the threads, do about a 1/2 inch on each one. I like to let the nut thread kind of drag it back to wherever it's gonna go. So it should suffice there. So it's always seemed to work for me. All right, so putting this guy on here, and then remember what I said about that bevel? This end goes first in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to get a socket, use 2 hands, and probably thread those on, because once you put it in there, you can't hardly, grab it. There's like nothing to grab. So yeah, insets, at least that far. So let me grab a socket, get that finger tight, and then get you all back. Okay, so what I'm doing is, don't freak out, because I got this 19 millimeter deep socket here. Put it in, bevel down. I already did the other 3. This is the 4th one. And this is all I'm doing, finger tightening with a socket. So don't freak out saying I'm threading it with a socket. But I'm gonna show you all something that I'm seeing here. I'm not entirely sure why, but we're gonna find out here quickly. So those are all hand tightened down in there, but this thing's obviously got a lot of movement left. And I think what I should have done is got a wire brush and clean those threads out of the lugs. So because those are threaded on good. I mean, you feel it in the socket, obviously. I just can't really go much more by my hand. Sorry, let's see here. So I'm gonna grab my little Ugga gun here. I'm gonna click this guy onto 1. I don't know if you can see that, that's 1. And slowly, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it needed. Now when I'm doing this, I'm also watching to make sure this little line right here doesn't get too off center. We also don't want to straighten that. Come back to that guy. I should have done that anyways. We don't want this whole thing getting off center too much. I might need 2 hands here, y'all. This is being but all right, I'm gonna come back to y'all 1 second. All right, so I figured it out. Make sure you got a thin wall socket. There's not a lot of gappage in there, so we'll do that. Now I'm gonna take the same 19mm socket. Okay, go over here and grab my, it's already set, my power fuel. Let's see here, 81 inch-pound torque wrench. So obviously adjust this to your size here. Now what I had to really do is just kind of super duper wiggle that in there. Now again, because the e-brake did what it did, we'll see how many pounds I can put on this thing without having the brake slip. 1, 2, that should work. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right. So again, blue Loctited all these guys. I'm gonna blue Loctite these 2, I believe, just because I can. And then I'll take wherever, oh there it is, this guy, and we'll go do a front tire. I'm not gonna show you all 4. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But yeah, so this is taking me, I don't know, 10 minutes filming, but the setup time and everything is a different story. So anyways, we'll get back to you. All right, so as you can tell, the tire's back on. Ran these down, made them German tight, good and tight. And if you're German and that offends you, cool. All right, so first one's done. You can kind of see in there, that's how it sits in the spacer. That's not a real good way to show you, but I would much rather get offset wheels than doing it this way, but I don't plan on getting wheels or tires until these guys kind of bite the dust. So this is what I'm going to do for right now and go from there. So I'm going to go do the other side, and then I'll meet you back over here on the front tires, and then we'll get some measurements.